Hello, everybody. It's Friday Fire, and what a week it's been. What a September it's been so far. Quite remarkable, but this is where I can be a little bit unhinged. So thank you for coming in. Sean D, T&D, K8, to everybody else for coming. And a big shout out to Nick M, Do Travels, and Swiping and Swiping. I see Kung Fu Panda in there as well. Let's get into the story. This is going to be called Bitcoin Decoupling Drama. I got to figure out where I should stick my camera because I am not important. What is important is the content. And let me see, top left corner. How about that? That works. We're going to get into some stuff that you may hear out there, but I will kind of debunk it with data. So let's get into it. And not financial advice. Shout out to everybody on Patreon. Swamp Rhino Mover. Hope I got that right. I joined Patreon a week ago. You've absolutely changed a 62-year-old's life. That's awesome. And we have everybody in the community, everything from 15, 16-year-olds all the way to 85-year-olds. Amazing. Anyway, let's get into one of the big stories for the week so far. We had a bit of a surprising turnabout. We had a lot of people on the wrong side of the trade, ladies and gentlemen. A lot of people are expecting Rectember to be Rectember. We weren't. If you watch this, Vitruvian, good to see you, buddy. But following a month of long liquidations, dominance, yesterday's move to 116,000. I was quite excited last night in Patreon when I saw that happening. We're above 116,000 as we speak still. That caught a lot of people offside, using a soccer terminology for Sean D that he may understand. But again, it's a notable shift towards short liquidation dominance. It's funny, when everybody thinks one thing is going to happen, the opposite happens. So everybody, never listen to the herd. Do your own research. Look at your own data. Ignore the sheep. And there's a lot of other chatter about, oh my God, Bitcoin's decoupling from gold. Everybody's going into gold. Nobody's touching Bitcoin. I'm not sure that's true. We'll look at another chart. But per Glassnode, Bitcoin's correlation to gold 30-day correlation drops to minus 0.53. Now, gold, or Bitcoin, follows gold typically with a 30-day lag. But let's look at my chart on this to see if we can get to the bottom of it all. And here we are. This is the purpley reddy line, whichever color your eyes can interpret, is Bitcoin. The blue at the top is the gold price. And gold is running out of steam. It did break new all-time highs, showing the chaos in the macro, which we'll get to in a minute too. But it looks like it's getting close to the top, up around whatever that is, 3,650. It looks like a top-ish area there. But guess what's happening with Bitcoin? Yes, it's beginning to chase. Like we said, if history repeats, after gold makes a new all-time high, 30 days later, Bitcoin makes a new all-time high. Sometimes this stuff is almost too predictable, but it's important to know history as well. Be a student of history. And thank you, Teddy Jobs, for coming too. Now, not hopium, be seated for this one. But as we've said as well, for many years now at this stage, 2017 cycle is eerily familiar to the current cycle we're in, 2025. 2021 was manipulated, so put that in the trash and ignore it. But this one is very, very similar. You can see the patterns here. You have the stage 1, both sides. Stage 2, both sides. Stage 3. Stage 3 was a bit more choppy for this particular cycle. Stage 4, a little dip, and then a rampage. If this continues to follow, we have a rampage ahead of us, everybody, and I'm ready for it. I hope you are too. Let's see. ETFs also. Rick Reeder from Blackrock was on an interview, and he said every portfolio should have some Bitcoin, somewhere between 1% and 5%. That's big. Remember, they run about $12, $13 trillion in assets. If all of their clients put, say, 1% into Bitcoin, that would blow up the price completely. But you can see here, the ETFs had their biggest buy in 7 weeks for Bitcoin. And BlackRock bought nearly $400 million worth. The day before, 211 million. The day before that, 170 million. Again, when they tell their clients what to do, their clients are huge. Some of their clients are nation states, huge pension funds, etc. They just allocate blindly. So actually crazy. And BlackRock also planned to tokenize their ETFs. It's expensive not to use the blockchain. Everything will be tokenized, as was also said for years. The world will be tokenized because it's better, cheaper, faster. And things that are better, cheaper, faster ultimately thrive. That's it. It's not hard. And the world's largest asset manager, again, is exploring, how they can turn all of their ETFs onto the blockchain in a tokenized manner. Let me just turn off my phone for a second. Sometimes it vibrates and people hear it through the table, through the mic. So hopefully it's off. Anyway, this will allow, this is the key part of this. When things are tokenized, that means we leave the world of 9:30 to 4 p.m., the 6.5 hours of trading. We go to 24 hours of trading. Okay, so for those of you who can't sleep, it's about to get a whole lot worse. Everything will be 24/7. And that's just the way of the world. So get ready for that, my friends. And Michael Saylor, everybody's disappointed with the MicroStrategy stock, which had a little bit of a pop today. Let me check where it's at right now. MicroStrategy up $6. Not bad. Is it up in after hours? Nope. And again, that thing's been on a rampage for years now. And the bloom is coming a little bit off the rose. But don't worry. Once Bitcoin goes on a rampage, MicroStrategy will follow. Watch the NAV premium very carefully. But Michael Saylor said, when Bitcoin is $1 million a coin, I'll bet you I'll buy $1 billion of it, probably in one day. And I think the Winklevi twins said it's going to $1 million as well today. Everybody's now talking about the $1 million target on Bitcoin's head. Who's ready for that? I hope so. And thing to be aware of, it's Friday Fire, so I can get to unleash a little bit. Gary Gensler. The truth is coming out. Coinbase have discovered that, they've accused Gary Gensler at the US SEC of destroying a year's worth of messages from Gary Gensler, and they are urging a federal court to impose sanctions. The erased records lost under a device policy span October 2022 to about late 2023, and that included the crazy times. And Coinbase argues that the missing texts undermine transparency and could reveal how the SEC shaped its enforcement-first approach to crypto. Legal experts note the courts take evidence destruction very seriously, with potential sanctions ranging from new searches to limiting the SEC's arguments. He's gone anyway, so that doesn't really matter too much. But just never forget, everybody, while he is gone from the SEC, he had to escape before who came into power. But remember, there's still somebody else there, okay? Maybe he wasn't the bad actor. Maybe he was acting on behalf of somebody else, my friends. Very important. There's nothing worse than a corrupt government. And speaking of government as well, something you should be aware of, the US prepares their PATRIOT Act crackdown. For those of you who don't know, PATRIOT Act came after 9/11, which was yesterday, but that was like 24 years ago. And the Treasury is finalizing its controversial mixer rule under the PATRIOT Act, which would effectively ban privacy tools for Bitcoin users. I've always said privacy in crypto is never a space to invest in because governments will never like it, okay? Whether you like it or not, I know everybody should be, self-sovereign and independent and move away from the government. But if you live in a country, some people believe they have a right to spy on you and know what you do with your money to some extent, But that's just, I don't know. Anyway, it's causing some range amongst some hardcore Bitcoiners. And people don't want that. But rest assured, if you think your data is not being shared, if you're buying something on Coinbase and Coinbase you think is not sharing that with the government, you're wrong. They're sharing it with the government. So beware of that. And probably the same everywhere around the world too. Now, Ethereum is also back. The ETH flows returned, which is nice. They had let me try to read this carefully. Oh, well, sorry, they didn't return. September 11th, they had an outflow of 17.4 million, but the day before, plus 74 million. But the big money has dried up. The big $500 million days, $300 million days. Looks like they're gone. Maybe the bloom has come off that rose too. And Solana still pulling in money, but a lot less. The Reks SSK ETF is not very well known. They don't have very powerful reach to bring in money. But trust me, when the other big ETFs, 8 ETFs come, then it's going to be bonkers. Now, let's check in on some of my favorite charts. I'm going to turn my camera off. This is the distance from all-time high winners and losers. I like to keep track of this at this stage of the bull market because remember, if you're not making a new all-time high, or if you're not very close to a new all-time high, like within 20% or so, 30%, odds are you may never make one again. And that's from looking at previous cycles. Will history repeat? Probably. But if you look here, there are a couple of names that are literally making new all-time highs. They are, let me try to read this carefully. It's hard to see. I didn't write it down. Zoom in. Okay, Binance is at the tops. Solana's 18% away from the all-time high. Cardano 73% away from the all-time high. Ethereum is 9% away from the all-time high, and Bitcoin is 7% away from the all-time high. Hype is pretty much at the all-time high as well. So these are things that are kind of, you could argue, winning the cycle. You know, Hype, Binance, Bitcoin. You know, other names, Ethereum have all done very well. And this is an important thing. If you are in a situation, and this is also, I've used this in the past, it works. If you are in a situation where you're holding a bag of something and it's in this red box, okay, this is the number of days that an asset, since an asset has been at its all-time high. If you are further than 1,000 days from reaching an all-time high, odds are you will never make an all-time high again. So if you're pinning your hopes and dreams to that wish, it's probably not going to happen. Okay. Some of the names here in red, let me try to pull them up, zoom in. Red box includes things like Bitcoin Cash, Cardano, Crypto.com coincidentally is in there. They haven't been at an all-time high in 1,500 days. Doge, Polkadot, Ethereum Classic, Hedera, ICP, Chainlink, Litecoin, Near, SHIB, Uni, WLD, XLM, and XMR. They would be the kind of the list to be careful of. If you're thinking during this bull run they're going to get back to all-time highs, I tell you right now, they're not. They are not. Unless, of course, maybe some type of treasury company goes and buys everything. That's possible, but highly unlikely. Also, Solana Reks shorts. Not just Bitcoin. People were caught offside with Bitcoin on the short side, but also Solana too. $61 million in shorts were liquidated over the last 24 hours. This thing has been on a rampage. We've gone from $98 to $240 in a very short window of time. And Galaxy is going bagging. Novogratz from Galaxy HQ is part of this company called Ford Industries. Their ticker is actually Ford, like the car company, I think. And they have purchased about 26% of their 1.65 billion worth. And they bought that last night, about 1.81 million Solana in the last 24 hours. So if you're selling into this buying, well, good luck. Anyway, and Solana Flips Binance is now the 5th biggest token. And that's interesting. Binance is at all-time highs. Solana is not. That means Solana has higher to go, ladies and gentlemen. Just some more little patterns interesting to look at. And AI stocks are completely on fire. This is absolutely bonkers. So far, NVIDIA up 50%, Microsoft 34%, Google 47%, Broadcom 83.69%, Apple 10%. Woohoo! No, that's sarcasm. Meta 26%, Amazon 15%, Tesla 60%, Oracle 99%. These things have come raging back, everybody. Absolutely bonkers. And Tesla did pop. It's now up 85% from the April low. It's added about $60 in the last 2 or 3 days. Absolutely wild. As I always say, risk happens fast. This is Tesla on the ATR model, looking very bullish, but we still have a ways to go to get to $488, the previous all-time high, which we hit back in November, December 2024. And remember, Q4 is always fire for Tesla. And remember as well, I'm going to share some macro news, both good and bad, which will help support this. And if you saw me on Cyberbulls yesterday, you saw my theory too. Now, one of the big ones is the Feds will cut rates. 98% chance that they're going to cut, even a 9% chance that they'll do a 50 basis pointer, which wouldn't be bad. But I think 25 basis points and then 25 basis points the next month is probably what's going to happen. And that'll be bonkers because that will put everybody into a risk-on position. And remember as well, we have a new all-time high in money market. By the way, money printing is going to the moon, so it's no surprise that money market funds are going up. But once the rates get cut, $7.3 trillion will be looking for a home. Okay? People are so used to hearing about, oh, $1 trillion is nothing. It's well, to put that in perspective, stablecoins just hit $300 billion, up 17% since June. US money market accounts are 7.3 trillion. The US money market account are $7 trillion higher than the fuel for crypto. That's how much money there is on the sidelines, everybody. Absolutely wild. When the rates get cut, this gold stuff will be looking for a home. No doubt about that. And global macro is no bueno. Shout out to Real Vision and Raul Paul. This is a short little list I found very nice, and shout out to Sanjay as well. UK GDP stalls. Germany inflation rises. And markets are all excited about the US Fed cut. Fitch sets to update France's credit rating. France is in a whole world of hurt. Germany sees highest inflation in 5 months because of food going up. And Japan industrial production is in the toilet. And UK has flat growth. The macro globally is freaking horrible, everybody. Now, this is where people get tripped up. Very important point here. People think, oh, the macro is bad, therefore I'm not going to invest. No, wrong. Absolutely wrong, ladies and gentlemen. What you need to do, okay, when you're in the middle of a massive change in narrative, you need to be in, guess what? Yeah, crypto and AI. Then it doesn't matter what the macro does. It doesn't matter a toss, ladies and gentlemen. So just remember that too. Don't let this scare you out. It's scary. So many good investors are all sitting on the sidelines in where's the cash? They're sitting on the sidelines in this when stocks are going up like 6% a day. Okay. It's wild. And they're going to be happy with their 3% return on their money market. It's just, I don't know. Some people can't be helped. Anyhow, global debt crisis in full swing. Shout out to Robin Brooks. If you weren't alarmed enough, this is pretty alarming here. Robin Brooks says, we're in a global debt crisis. Yeah, well, we've been talking about the global debt crisis for years now. But if you look at the 30-year yields around the world, this is insane, okay? Look at the 10-year, 20-year forward yields, the red that strip out the short-term yields, and these are up everywhere. And at alarming levels in places like Japan, UK, and France. It is not good. Nobody wants that fiat trash, everybody. Be careful out there. And my former finance professor, shout out to Jeremy Siegel, he warns everybody, this is not good. He warns everybody that the Bitcoin threatens dollar dominance. I actually made a video on Wednesday or Tuesday, I can't remember when it was, about the Triffin dilemma. It's a very well viewed video. For people that really want to understand how, yes, the dollar dominance will be threatened. But it's funny he came out and say that. So I wonder, did you see my video from Wednesday? I hope so. Anyway, Jeremy, hope all is well. He was my teacher, God, maybe 30 years ago. Madness. And back to AI. Albania appoints the first ever AI minister. Now, people say, oh, AI is dangerous. Well, you know what's more dangerous than AI? Is a corrupt politician. So, as long as the weights of the AI model are fair and balanced, I'd rather have AI make governmental decisions than a corrupt minister. Ta-da! Shout out to anybody in Albania who's watching. I'd love to hear from you. And meme du jour on this Friday, my friends. Better technology always wins. And as I also say, winners take most. That's why I love this from Sylvain as well. Netflix won't work, as pronounced by cable TV. Cable TV wrote it off. Cable TV is now dead and Netflix is thriving. Email won't work. Post offices, well, we know what happened there. In fact, email's now dead too, I would argue. Internet won't work from the newspapers. They're also dead. RIP mainstream media. And Bitcoin won't work from the banks. Now JP Morgan and Blackrock and all the big banksters are in there. That's the story. Yes, I'm still holding MicroStrategy. I've been in MicroStrategy since 2020. And again, once again, big thank you to QC Coiner, Brayman, Forrest, Piper, Andy, my dreams come true. Nev Lapwood, you're new. I'm Huckleberry, Chaotic Coder, Vitruvian Maniac, Swiping No Swiping, Do Travels, Nick M. And a huge thank you as well to Sean D, T&D Tesla, K8, and everybody else. My friends, have a good Friday. See you all tomorrow. Bye-bye.